Electricast. This episode is brought to you by State Farm. From your morning podcast to your afternoon playlist, State Farm knows you personalize your entire day, and that's why State Farm helps you personalize your insurance with the State Farm Personal Price Plan. It offers coverage options that help protect what you care about most at an affordable price just for you. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Prices vary by state. Options selected by customer. Availability and eligibility may vary.
At Mayo Clinic in Florida, we're conquering the unconquerable, using data and AI to create personalized gene roadmaps to fight cancer more effectively. Learn more at mayoclinic.org/possible. Mayo Clinic, you know where to go.
Hello and welcome into Missing the Point. I am Hollywood Ray with the man, the myth, the legend, my guy, DK Sizzle, and our executive producer, Craig Alessandro. Yo, how we doing tonight, man?
Awesome, dude. I'm so excited to finally chop it up with you on the pod. I feel like we've been trying to get a Ray and Dave show together for this entirety of the two-man format, and now we're here.
Yeah, because I think the last time we did it, we had a three guys. So yeah, so it's
That's
good.
Right.
Didn't make this happen. You know, we're gonna get some best.
Finally, the Celtics are talk-aboutable.
Right, yeah.
There was a while there where I was just like, I'm not doing it. It's going to hurt my feelings.
I was with you. You already know. Listen, we were out after that Bulls game. We was like, fuck it. But
yeah, I would turn on the games and I would just go through that, like, that slow death over the course of like the first quarter and second quarter. And like, it wasn't even like we were blowing fourth quarter leads, but it wasn't even like we ever really looked like winning it the entire time during those like turgid games, and we couldn't get any offense going. The shooting was terrible. Sorry, did I jump the gun? Are we starting with the Celtics? It's just hurtful. The way they were playing was hurtful.
Yeah, that's it. Either way, you've done this before, because that's still a good segue. So from one thing that's been hurtful to another thing that's been hurtful. So Brian Flores, man, he served as a coach down in Miami the last 3 seasons. He recently was relieved of his duties, aka getting fired, down in Miami after going 25-24. He is now currently suing the NFL for discrimination in the hiring process. So, just want to know your thoughts, Dave. So, what ripple effect do you think this will have, after all the information comes out?
Someone said to me a few days ago, someone was like, oh, Cap 2.0. Somebody made that point. And I was like, nah, I don't know. Feels different. Feels super different. I feel like while they were both sort of, they were protesting different things, right? Like they were kind of taking a stand against different things. Cap was taking a stand against like systemic racism in America as a whole and police brutality, like in general, like specifically. And Flores was saying like there's hiring practices in the NFL for my job that are definitely skewed white or outright racist. And I think if anybody doesn't think that's the case, I could probably pretty quickly point to their politics on other things like life-saving vaccines and the Confederate flag and things like that.
Right.
I mean, at this point, it's a joke. Of course it's true. Like, why don't you just look at it and just try? I mean, you know why? Because the NFL is made up of a bunch of the owners who are just a bunch of fucking good old boys, basically, that have no intention of addressing things that don't outright benefit them. I don't know if they're racist even as much as just like completely self-interested. Or maybe they're racist, but either way, yeah, of course he's right. Of course he's correct. You see it happen all the time. And I think he was smart to be the one to take the stand, to be honest with you, because I think every sports fan would agree that when we were talking about the coaching landscape and who was available, he was the blue chip stock. He was the guy nobody understood why the Dolphins fired him in the first place. And every team that needed a coach wanted him. I really felt that way as far as the fan side of things goes. I would have loved to have him in Chicago. Chicago's a good example. The guy we hired, we basically hired on the philosophy of bringing in to make the defense a solid unit again and he's going to bring in and he's going to foster team spirit, and he's going to bring in an offensive coordinator that can take care of Justin Fields. You would have gotten that with Flores. And to me, Flores is already a proven commodity. So I wonder why we didn't just go and get him. Yeah, I mean, you and I have talked about it in the past, like the treatment of certain coaches, like Lovie Smith, for example, in Chicago. I think that sort of got the same rub. You take a team 15-1 and bring them through Green Bay and take them to the Super Bowl, and through Drew Brees and take them to the Super Bowl. To lose, but like, come on, they didn't give him enough time again after that. And I think because reasons, I just think like a Jim Harbaugh or a John Harbaugh would have gotten like a couple extra years, and I think we know why. So yeah, I think he's right. But I guess it's not what you know, it's what you can prove. So I'm excited to see the progress of his lawsuit. I hope this doesn't mean what it meant for Cap, which means no one's going to touch him with a 10-foot pole now. Like, I don't see why he can't have a job still. I mean, I kind of do, I guess. I see the conflict of interest, but do you think anyone's going to hire him? Do you think that's going to happen?
I mean, I would hope so. I think now, people are realizing, like, I guess if he was speaking about social injustice as well, I think they probably would have shied away from it because, no one wants to deal with that distraction, as I put that in air quotes. But they'd be dumb right now not to at least look at him now, especially now that they're under the fire, they're under the light. So, listen, the man made Tua Tagovailoa irrelevant. That alone should get you at least 3 or 4 years somewhere else. Like, and I don't mean to make light of it because it's a messed up situation, but it's just like, like I said, we talked about Lovie Smith, we talked about Jim Caldwell, Eric Bieniemy, who's been a commodity the last 2 years, but for whatever reason hasn't gotten that look. The Leslie Frazier's of the world, like they're Hugh Jackson.
Josh McDaniels, the second he wants to go and try again, he gets to walk right in.
Yeah. After playing Indianapolis, I mean, listen, I'm happy about that. So I'm happy about him leaving. So that's a quick aside. But yes, he gets opportunity after opportunity. People that look like him continue to get opportunity after opportunity. So, yeah, I mean, I think it'll be a while before he gets another job, unfortunately. And that's what happens whenever you shake the system, and that's what he's trying to do. He's trying to shake the system. Although there's going to be folks that agree with him silently because no one's going to say out loud they firmly agree.
Yeah, or like anonymously in the comments section. Yeah.
Oh, it's like call 555-0125. It's like come on, like just say it's okay.
Yeah, say it with your fucking chest. It's fine.
Exactly.
We want to hear it.
Yeah, don't look right. Don't be on that bullshit. Just say what's on your mind. But
yeah,
I'm surprised, but not surprised that more black players and other coaches have not said much behind this.
Agreed.
Actually annoyed by it, honestly. Like I feel like, if NFL is the number one brand, like it is. So it's not like people are gonna firmly stop watching just because you say, hey, we stand with Brian Flores. And that's all you have to say. It ain't like you're literally standing with them, because you're gonna go back home, you're gonna lay in your king size bed, you're gonna work out, whatever, do your thing. But all you have to write, I stand with Brian Flores. That's all you have to do. And people think, oh my gosh, they're standing together. They're in unity. It's like, no one can divide them. It's like, that's all you have to do. But
there's strength in numbers there. And it's difficult to, it's difficult to kind of reason with it from this side because you want them to do the brave thing. It's indicative, I think, of the kind of organization the NFL is to work for behind the scenes, because I think the fact that so few people over the years, not even just to do with this situation, have been so scared to bite the hand that feeds them, because I think they do sort of respond a little brutally. And I think their statement is a great example of that, because their statement is essentially denying the existence of any level of systemic racist hiring practices in their organization, which I don't think is true of any organization of the size and scope of the NFL, never mind one smaller. So I just feel like if I was in the room, just from a PR standpoint, I would have loved something like, hey, if he feels this way, like this would be a great opportunity for us to look at it as a whole. We'll let an individual team speak for themselves on their hiring practices, but like the NFL is with you. we're not mad at you for this. Don't worry about it. We're just going to take a look at it and have conversations about it. But it was very like, we can, like, I don't know exactly the wording, but it was like, we completely refute any allegations of racism.
I mean, look at what John Elway said. John Elway was like, look, fuck y'all. I'm not in this. It's not me.
Right.
You're not, AKA the Denvers.
Right.
Greg, the Denver's like, he's like, look, I'm not involved in this shit. Don't put my name in this at all. Listen, we look, I don't know. I forgot how John Elway sounds, but I could just hear him saying like, hey, like, we gave the guy a fair shake. We did. Promise. We gave the guy a fair shake. Come on. We looked at him long and hard. Pause. But we gave him a long look back at 2019. Well, really, did you? Because you chose the guy. You chose Vance Joseph over Brian Flores. Really?
Yeah.
Vance Joseph. Really? Like I said, once again, we see what he did in Miami. Saw what he did as the coordinator over in New England. So I mean, you say that you gave him that opportunity and that you strongly considered him, but as someone who looks like Brian Flores, I cannot tell you how many times I've been told you were strongly considered for a role. No, and it's just like it's unbelievable. And even I'll keep it to this. Even certain positions within the radio field. You consider for this. We thought about this. Well, guess what? I got my own shit now. Thank you, Craig. Thank you, Dave. Thank you to the other four of y'all. We got our own shit now. So now we're everywhere. But I just had to put that out there. But yeah, well, I want to get into the Rooney Rule, right? Because that obviously that rule is tied to a minority, or it's supposed to be. Came from the owner of the Pittsburgh Steelers. So, I feel like I know the instances, but I have to ask you because I want to see where your stance is. And Craig, if you want to chime in, you can as well. What amendment or does an amendment need to be given for the Rooney Rule?
Yeah, I mean, it sort of is a rule that it's a nice thought, but it doesn't actually pay any real like effect or solution to the issue. It seems because, I mean, are you just like bringing in a carousel of black coaches to meet a minimum and you're never going to hire them? Then like, what's the point in the rule? So from that front, I think it's difficult because it's sort of an insidious beast, because you can just kind of be like, no, we gave it to the best qualified person. And unless you're like sitting down and like comparing the two resumes, as I think is the case in a lot of the people that didn't hire Brian Flores, but hired somebody else, it's not a matter of there's two equal candidates and the job goes to the white person, more often than not. It's the fact that in this situation as well, there were two unequal candidates. Brian Flores was just like better. So like, I think maybe, this is a tough question. And I think it's like, maybe for greater minds than mine and like legal experts to sort of, and philosophers to sort of tangle with as far as how to make things more equitable and fair in all workplaces. But, for my 2 cents, I think something in not necessarily punitive, but like, instead of a Rooney Rule, perhaps like a Rooney survey of like your general hiring practices, and perhaps someone that's like very good at being a statistician and like compiling data can say like, well, this is how many times you interviewed like an equal amount of white and black candidates for roles, all through your organization. And this is the amount of time you hired white people. And this is how many instances their resumes were, virtually identical. And maybe we could look at and this is just me throwing shit at the wall, but maybe we could look at the solid numbers in different organizations, because, you could take a crack at it right off the bat, which ones you would guess, certain organizations in certain cities and certain states, I think, would probably fail that sort of grading system if we invented it, and maybe we just scarlet letter them with it, and not necessarily put anything punitive behind it, but just be like, yeah, we've labeled you as like a more racist organization because of your hiring practices, and like you're not doing great, but it's like a health score, you can like work on it and you can bring it up, and it's not necessarily the way to get the score up isn't necessarily just like hire more black people or hire more Hispanic people or hire more Asian people. It's like how you enter into the idea of hiring and confronting the matter of race and inherent bias and how much you consider it and take it upon yourselves to be aware of it. And eventually, I think if everyone's doing that, because it is sort of a personal responsibility thing on behalf of these companies and people that run them, the more you do that, the more even the playing field is going to be, I think, which is, I think, the main goal. You know, everybody just getting the same shot as everybody else. And I think a lot of people on the other side of this argument would cry out racism if you just like hired more Black people. So I wonder if there's a way to think about it more three-dimensionally, especially in the NFL, where so many people that are involved in the sport are people of color and they retire. And like, you know, you want to keep them around the sport. Like that's a way to do it. You know what I mean? And it's just like, and how you treat your former players and how you treat your former white players and like, who's an ambassador for your team and like all these different things. You could take these into effect. Now I'm not going to do it. I have neither the time nor the expertise, but I think if somebody smart would do that, and that, you know, story of my life, I think if somebody smart would do that, that would be a great idea. But I think that's the only way to do it. You have to shift the paradigm a little bit to make people responsible for it themselves. I don't think you can, you know, and every person in these roles sort of thinking like, "Ooh, am I doing that?" Because I think a lot of people do that, right? Like they try to check their bias at the door, or check their prejudices at the door. But, you know, sometimes it comes into play in your brain. You go like, "Oh, I think I'm doing that thing." And like, if you're at least thinking about it and being aware of it, then maybe you can actually make a change in that situation. But yeah, I mean, I'm happy to have athletes come out and talk their politics and people involved in these organizations come out and talk their politics. I don't need them to shut up and dribble. Funny, all the shut up and dribble guys, though, markedly silent on Aaron Rodgers because he happens to share their politics. So I guess if you're only comfortable with the conversation when your side is like getting to say something, then you might be a little bit worried about what the answer is on the other side. So,
yep.
You know, I just think that's kind of an extension of what the NFL is doing in this situation. I just think they're sort of being like, we're not talking about it because we don't think it's a thing. And it's like, talking about it's the only way to fix it, dummies. It's not, it's just going to stay around, you know? I don't get it.
Right. I mean, listen, I don't, there's not much I need to add to that. Like that was everything that is beautifully said, what you just said. How I'm going to end that, and then I'll ask the next question. 1 out of 32 is a problem. Like that, like there's no other way.
Right there, that grading system is no more complicated than that. Yeah.
And the teacher lesson, that's less than 5%. Like that, it's a joke.
It's not great. It's not great, and especially like I said, considering the amount of people in and around the sport at the athletic level are people of color, specifically African Americans. That, you know, they make up a large majority of the playing staff, but not a large majority of the coaching staffs and front offices. And I mean, it just says it all right there. And like, if you read John Gruden's fucking emails, it's like maybe some people think some
Here
shit.
We go. There's one.
Maybe some people think some dark shit. Who knows?
Where's the meter? Which I knew it was coming at some point.
I gotta say, I knew he was.
I'm proud of you though. 20 minutes in,
I knew he was a buffoon.
I'm happy.
I knew he was a buffoon. It's my all-time greatest take. It couldn't have ended more spectacularly.
I feel you.
Unless he walked out into the middle of that giant stadium in Las Vegas and just poured gasoline on himself and just lit himself on fire, I don't see any way it could have ended better for me. Not so great for the people he was talking about, the racist piece of shit, but like whatever. At least he got fired. So
yeah, that's right, exactly. But yeah, and I, like this last thing I want to get on this before we move on. But I think Hugh Jackson said it on the Face First podcast with Ryan Clark. I believe he talked about getting paid $100,000 for each loss. And I'll get into that first before I throw it back to you. It's like, what? Like, now listen, to make light of it, if you was giving me $100,000 for each loss, I'd have been $1.6 million richer.
Yeah. 1.7 now. 1.7 now.
0.7 now. You're right. So I'd have been paid.
Even
baby.
more incentive. You'd be like, add games to the season. I'm pro adding games to the season.
Yeah, exactly. I need my money up front. Feel me? So
I'll go to Detroit and lose. It's like the easiest thing you could ever do. It's easier than walking and chewing gum at the same time.
Right, exactly. So I totally would have done that. but but in the same breath, knowing that black coaches don't get the same amount of chances, it's damn near criminal to have them, be basically sacrificial lambs for whatever season.
Yeah, you're buying them out cheap, basically, right? Yeah, you're buying them out cheap because look at their record.
Right, exactly. So I mean, granted, like I said, we talked about Jim Caldwell a few shows ago. The man went 9-7 for a few years in a row and still got let go. So you can only imagine if someone's going 1-15, 2-14, 3-13, and thinking they're going to get an actual chance. Like I said, Marvin Lewis and Mike Tomlin, the only two guys I know that's been around for a decade plus and still had a fair shake. You know what I'm saying? So not Arshell, obviously not Hugh Jackson. Like it was terrible.
Mike Tomlin is seemingly at the right organization for that. Like, I think if I was gonna, and I know I do big up the Steelers in a lot of ways, but I do think the ownership's like a little bit, like if we did my magic grading system, I think they'd be doing pretty well in the like hiring practices and like general sort of treatment of the situation. And they seem like good dudes, like in general, and ladies. But I think in the media, you can still see what happens to Mike Tomlin, so I don't know if he gets as much credit as like for his successes as like a coach that didn't look like Mike Tomlin would get. Do you know what I mean? So
yeah,
there's two sides to, I mean, I'm critical of him, a lot of the time. And it's like, I wonder if that's my internal bias, just like being more critical of him than I would like a Bill Belichick, I mean, I know they're not on the same level of coaching, but it's like, I just do see him get put through a different lens sometimes. And like, clearly that power struggle with Flores, like, and everything that went on down there, like clearly that played a part in that too, right? Don't you think?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Like him getting fired in the first place.
Yeah, no, for sure. It's just super unfortunate, and I can't believe we got this far. And I'm like, I say everything is coming back to me at once. That damn text message.
Yeah.
What are we doing, man?
I think it's just an old guy not being able to work a phone. Don't you?
No, he's been and I get it. Like it's the cool thing to say. Oh, like he doesn't know about Snapchat. No, like you've got to know. You got to think, Brian. It's like that's wild to me.
You're giving your NFL coaches those like shitty Microsoft tablets. You might have gotten like a brand
one last year. But listen, don't tell me that he didn't know what was going on. Like I can't get with that.
Well, what do you think his intentions were? What do you think his intentions were by intentionally like letting the cat out of the bag like that?
I don't know. I wish I knew. And I said, we'll never know because he's not going to say anything. But I just think, to me, like, you just cannot make that type of mistake. And once again, what resonated once again, because I look like Brian Flores, it's like, yo, that thanks, Bill. Like that shit hit different because once again, I've been there where, not to that extent where it's like, you think you're gonna get a job and it doesn't happen like that. But it's like, you're thinking someone's in your corner, going to do, going to help you out in some capacity. And then it's like, oh, it was kind of like a matter of fact. Like, oh, well, I messed that one up. Okay, my livelihood's on the fucking line, bro. Like this is not, it's not a game. So, I don't know. I just think for someone who's so diligent and tries to make sure that he's always on top of everything, that was super careless. So I don't care that he's about to be 70 years old and, maybe doesn't know if I could care less about that. Don't tell me that he didn't know. And once again, it could have been an honest mistake. I just, like I said, at this moment, I just don't buy that. I hope that he comes out in a press conference and talks about that.
Yeah, well, he's very giving in those situations. So.
It's out there, so it's not like it's already out there. So it's not like Brian Flores is going to keep coming. So it's not a matter of, well, let's just kind of sweep it under the rug. I know the Giants said, well, Mr. Belichick doesn't speak for us. I mean, but y'all just wanted him a few years ago to come coach y'all. So let's not.
Is he just going to get pounded with this all season? You think? If he doesn't answer correctly?
Maybe in the offseason could still, but by the time we get to July, it's like, how do you see the progression of Mac Jones a year two? Like, what are some things you're looking for early on in the show? Like that's the question going to be. Like, we'll see if someone has the gut. I mean, if someone had the guts to ask him about his New Year's resolutions, they damn sure better ask about this, because this is way more fucking important than what are you doing? Are you gonna lose 10 pounds, or are you gonna have Nike keep making the picks? Like, who knows? Maybe Nike sent the text. Maybe Nike said, "Hey, Brian, maybe you're not getting the job." Maybe it was Nike. Maybe it was the fucking dog. Maybe that's what it was. Okay, maybe there you go. That's my conclusion. You asked me the question. Maybe it was Nike. Nike sent the text saying, "Hey, Brian, I messed that up or whatever." So yeah, we're living real life Family Guy. That's what's going on. So maybe that's what it was. So there you go. We solved the case here on missing the point. DK Hollywood Ray, we solved it. It was Nike. That's what happened there. So any last words on this before we get into Tom Brady?
No, I hope we haven't heard the end of Brian Flores is all. I think he's a good coach, and I thought it was great what he did with the Dolphins this season. I thought it was a huge turnaround, and a turnaround like that is right away. I'm going to give the credit to the coaching when something like that happens. And it was pretty clear that it was him and his staff doing that, and I'm not sure what went down to get him fired, but I hope he gets a job, and I hope that he doesn't stop talking about it because he's not wrong. Yep.
Facts. Agreed. So yeah, all right. So just a small story happened up here. I'm great. He's not playing here anymore, but Tom Brady, who played here for a million years.
Were you mad about the statement? Were you mad? Tell me.
We're gonna get into it. I wasn't necessarily. Yeah, we can say that. I wasn't mad about it. I thought it was actually pretty funny. That he went through, that people were so enraged about that. It's like, and great. I was a part of the team that was like, well, he said something 2 years ago. It's like, the man plays for Tampa Bay right now. He plays. So it's just like, listen, he I think a day later or two, it came out that he was gonna do the sign a 1-day contract. He'll probably have a long ass press conference and talk about that stuff then. Like, it's cool. But yeah, he clearly has ill feelings or ill will towards, Bill and some others in the organization. And hey, it is what it is. And right now, Bill ain't looking too good. So I'm just like, honestly, anything that puts Bill in the negative light right now, fuck him. That's where I'm at right now. I had moments like that throughout the season where I was out on him.
Wait, I'm sorry. Hold on a second. You're saying you're out on Bill Belichick?
I would say I had moments during the season when I was out. Like when they were 2-4, I was ready to move on at 2-4.
That's drastic.
Oh, that's how mad I was though. Because I was like, you spent almost $200 million in the offseason, and you losing games that you should win. Like I was pissed. But obviously they ended up turning around and made the playoffs. But yeah, it was awful. Early on, in my opinion, and it reared ugly head at the wrong time once again. But that's a whole nother show for another day. But yeah, but no, like I wasn't mad. I wasn't mad about the post. Like I said, I was more mad that someone didn't give him his opportunity to go out the way he wanted to. Because clearly there's someone in his circle said something to Schefter, whoever reported that. I thought that was pretty whack.
Yeah, I feel like if you're Schefter, you got to confirm it with him, right?
Right, of course.
Right, what are you doing, bro?
But that's the news cycle nowadays. Like no one cares about being right and accurate. Everyone wants. I mean, no, not right, not accurate. Everyone wants to be right. So no one cares about the accuracy of the story.
And everybody wants to be first. I think.
Right.
Like Schefter's. Exactly. Schefter got scooped a couple of times. I feel like there was a period where he was the first to everything, like all the time. And I feel like he got scooped a couple of times, and now he's jumped the gun a couple of times. That was
him
bad.
Him and Rappaport. Those are the two guys that get they get all the and I think it was Jason Locker for a while too. Like he had his moment. So I get it, right? So you wanted to put out that's a huge story. I didn't think he was going to leave. Like I said, we literally just talked about it on last week's show. I thought that he was going to come back. And
thanks, Tom. Way to date the content right away.
Yeah, no, it is what it is. It makes it, it was cool. It became a nice video on our TikTok page. So, so that was cool. But, but I'm like, I'll ask you, because obviously, you're one of the two non-New England fans on the show. So, now that his career is said and done, another 22 seasons, where does he rank for you all the time?
Yeah, he's clearly the greatest quarterback of all time. Maybe He's probably the best football player of all time. It's not close. It's like no longer close. He was still nasty is the thing. And like, I think I know he said like he was gonna go until he sucked. And he just like really didn't suck at all. Like he didn't even drop off like 1% of 1%. Like I think he was better. I think there was the parts of his game that were better from when he was 34, you know. And like I think it's way more badass to go out on top like that, to basically still be, if you're starting a season tomorrow and you have your choice of quarterbacks, to still basically be everybody's number one choice. Especially with how the playoffs went.
Crazy.
Yeah, at 44 years old. And because it's just like it's skill, and it's the way that he can put together a team, and it's the way that his guys play for him, but it's also he knows how to win. You know, he's just a guy who really knows how to win. And like, I know one of your questions was, to just tie it into this, I know one of your questions was, are we judging Pat Mahomes too harshly because he crashed out of this another title game, but like he's obviously playing at a very high level, and he's still very young. I think we're judging him in the Brady era, like the post Brady era. I think that it's pretty clear that the big question on everybody's minds is anybody going to be able to be that good ever again? Is that now the yard? How long is this going to be the yardstick for? And I think there was voices kind of saying, yeah, I agree. But I think there was voices kind of saying, I don't know, man, Pat Mahomes in today's NFL, like the way that, the game favors quarterbacks, and like the way that you can make these plays as a Pat Mahomes type, because he can move and he can throw. And the team he has around him, like maybe, but it's an unfair standard, but it is sort of the standard now, unfortunately. Like that is the measuring stick that everyone should use to test themselves against. It's Brady or bust for all-time greats now. You know what I mean? Like, who gives a shit about the conversation of, oh, well, who's like the best of the rest? You know what I mean? Like, who's the best? It's like, who cares? We know who the best guy is, that's who's to beat. And if you really want to achieve greatness in sports, that's who you should be setting yourself against. That's the standard you should be looking at. Like, if anybody's sitting there going like, well, that's just not possible. Well, get the fuck out of here then. You're obviously never going to do it. I bet somebody does get 8 one day. I really do. I bet we see it in our lifetime. But it was cool to watch. It was cool to watch as a little kid, from the 2001 Super Bowl. I was so young, I was like 11 years old, and he just retired, and I'm 31 and almost 32. And it's just like, some days I woke up mad at him because he like just fucking just destroyed the Bears. By the time the Falcons comeback happened, I was like, yeah, I mean, he's the GOAT. It's not close. That was pretty much it for me. So anything else after that was cream cheese. Yeah, of course he's the fucking GOAT. I mean,
so I want to add on to what you just said right there, right? So you said it took you to the Atlanta game to realize that, right?
Yeah, that's that game.
Right, but which is fair, right? But that's what pissed me off about those that were crowning Mahomes after the Chiefs, after the 49ers Super Bowl. It's like, wait a minute, like y'all didn't think Brady was the guy really until he beat Seattle. Forget about Atlanta. When they beat Seattle in 2015, like I said, we just passed the anniversary of that. Like that's when people say, "Oh, damn, he tied Montana." Like this guy. Like, wait a minute, like well,
Montana was the yardstick, right? Montana was the yardstick.
That's what I'm saying. So I'm like, it took him 14, 15 years to get there. And you're telling me a guy in 3 fucking years to pass that? Come on. Once again, is he on his way? Sure, you can say that.
Yeah. It's because he's electric. It's because he's fucking electric. Like everyone just got excited.
But you can't get up, and I the best way I can say it, because once again, being a basketball guy, right? And we wasn't one of the 2 guys I'm gonna say we wasn't around to ever see him play because we weren't born yet, or none of us on this show were born yet. But so I think about it as Dr. J and then Michael Jordan, right? People that saw, like, I think about my father. My father has Dr. J, holds him high, probably even to Jordan, right? Because that was their Jordan. He's dunking over people, he's blocking shots, whatever, like that. That's their
He's cooler than Michael Jordan too. He had like
yeah,
a cooler vibe.
for sure. Then this guy comes out of North Carolina, can basically float in the air. The man floats in the air. He's getting 37 in the game, his third season, right? So just like Pat, right? Just doing, you're like, damn, I've never seen.
He's got everything. He can dribble. He can play defense. Yeah.
Like, oh my God. But it took him 7 years to get to the finals. Like we only talk about his career from 91 to 98. No, like he played from 84 to 2003. That 19 year, that span, and then 2 retirements, that matters. The whole totality matters. So context matters, I should say. So that's what it is. And I get it. Listen, Mahomes is a absolute problem. To say otherwise, it's like, listen, either we don't know what's going on or you don't control. And that's fine. That's cool. But it's just like to say that in year 3 or 4, I think he's in year 5 now, said that he'd already surpassed Brady or even fucking Peyton Manning. Come on, no way.
Yeah,
I'm not a Peyton Manning guy at all. But the stuff that we saw him do, come on, this man put up stupid numbers.
Yeah.
Once again, like Breeze, Aaron, yeah, you want to say he surpassed them? I'm with you. He's already better than those guys, but he's not better than Manning or Brady right now. No way.
Yeah, but you're talking about
those. He'll surpass them eventually.
Maybe. But you're talking about those seasons we watched. People have such short memories. We talk about those seasons we watched like back to back, or nearly back to back of them dropping fucking 45 plus to the fucking house. You know what I mean? And it's just like, you're just like every week it was just like dime, 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 dime. And you're just like, okay, I guess this is ridiculous, but this is how it is now. Like the game is completely different. Randy Moss just like running. Just running and like looking up every 10 seconds there's a new Randy Moss highlight. I swear to God there was times where I couldn't tell them apart, where I'd be like, wait, dude, was that? I would like come out of the game and I'd come back in, I'd be like, oh, they're showing this touchdown again, and I'd be like, oh no, it's a new one. He scored the exact same way. Just by running faster than guys. And it's like, no, Mahomes hasn't done anything like that. Plus he's got a ton of great skill players around him, and I'm not sure that early in their careers they had guys on the level of your Tyreek Hills and your Travis Kelce's.
David Gibbons, Jermaine Wiggins, who's now doing radio. Christian Fourier was also. Are you kidding me? Cut it out. Daniel Brown.
The Pats in 2001 had a crafty special teams. Like they were like chippy. They weren't like the biggest kids on the block. Like when the Kansas City comes to town, everybody's fucking terrified, dude. And it's not just because of Pat Mahomes; it's because of the fucking whole thing that they got going on over there. So.
But the thing is, it's really just Hill and Kelsey, though. Like, people will make it seem like it's like, listen, people are not scared of
him. Yeah, that's enough, though.
No. I get you, but it's like, it's really, no, but you say that, but I mean, and we can get into that next, but it wasn't enough because as soon as you shut down Hill, there was nothing else they could do. They shut him down in the second half. And we'll touch on that shortly, but
that's true.
And that's what happened. So, Milko Harmon doesn't scare anybody. Pringle, these dudes aren't scaring anybody.
But to your point about Brady, though, I mean, that's exactly the point. Is that like a guy you got to not be able to throw it to Tyreek Hill and win. You like if you're Pat Mahomes and you're like trying to get to that level and you're trying to achieve that zenith and you're trying to beat Tom Brady or even beat, like you said, even beat Peyton Manning or beat Peyton Manning. You got to do. You got to find a way to fucking win when Tyreek Hill's not producing. That's just like, because I guarantee you, like that's. I mean, to me, people talk about Tom Brady's qualities. To me, the number one, far and away, best quality that Tom Brady had, and this is especially true later in his career, is that he could make plays to guys that no other quarterback in the league could make plays to. And I think, and he could find guys and make them hit their mark and run their routes and get their assignments correct to a point where it was him making the plays. You know what I mean? It was him getting into these guys. And if you watch a different quarterback, he's just not going to be able to do that. And it's,
not consistently anyways.
No. And I think that Josh Allen has that quality a little bit too. I mean, I know he's got a lot of guys around him. What I liked about what the Bills did against the Chiefs is, I mean, obviously that game's fucking out of control, but they were just like, let's have a shootout. Like both teams just agreed, like, let's have a shootout. And it was probably the greatest shootout I've ever seen, to be quite honest with you.
Agreed. It was unreal.
It was insane. It was just like, I was like just jumping up and down. Like I've never been like that excited about a game that didn't involve one of my own teams. But I think they set a good blueprint then for the Bengals, and also I think they were a little mentally scarred going in against the Bengals too. So like there is context to this kind of stuff, and I like that there's teams in the AFC standing up to them. Like, no, there's teams not rolling over and being like, yeah, the Chiefs are just going to run the AFC for the next like X amount of years. You know,
I wonder who's going to be their Baltimore, right? Because we'll get into this.
Maybe it's Baltimore.
Maybe we'll be. Maybe we'll be.
I kind of like them. Right? I know it's an unpopular opinion on this podcast.
No. You and I are the two. But no, that's fine. I'm listen. Lamar Jackson can play. The man went down.
Yeah.
They didn't win another fucking game. So I don't want to hear it, Mike.
Yeah, if Lamar Jackson won a Super Bowl, that would be the funnest playoffs any of us have ever watched. Like that, like other than this one maybe, but like Lamar Jackson on the road to Super Bowl and winning would be insane. It like so much shit would happen. Like
I was at the Discord. Oh my god! I'd be writing messages galore because I'm like that is.
He's so fun to watch. Like, why are you hating on him? He's so fun to watch. Who cares? Like, it's because the Patriots fans hate Baltimore. I get that, but
yeah, he was awesome. But yeah, we'll see who becomes their Baltimore. Like I said, will it be Burrow? Will it be will it be Allen? Will it be Herbert eventually?
Right.
Who knows? The AFC is set up for years. Who knows? Maybe Mac Jones takes a leap.
I was gonna say, I can't believe you didn't say Mac Jones. I feel like
he's not in that. He's in the next tier. And if we're being realistic, like he's in that next tier right now. Once again, had a very good rookie season. I think that he was leaps and bounds better by the end of the year than he was.
It's understandable too that he faded. I mean, that happens to rookies, right? Like,
right, yeah, exactly. That curve was going to happen. The learning curve was there, and actually he answered the call many times, and there was plenty of games where he made throws and made plays that if he didn't make those plays and throws, that they wouldn't have been in the position they were in. So,
who were you when the draft happened? When the draft happened, and they traded up for Jones, were you?
No, they didn't trade it. They stayed.
Or sorry, when Chicago traded up for Fields, were you like in Mike's camp where you were like, oh, I wanted Justin Fields, or did you think Mac Jones was going to be better?
I wanted Lance. Lance.
Gotcha.
Lance was my guy. Yeah, Lance was the.
Between those two, though, who would you have rathered?
Oh, I want to trade. Oh, you mean between Lance and Jones?
Well, between your guy at the start and now that you've seen both of their rookie seasons, who would you do the same thing again?
I'm definitely riding with Mac now. I didn't feel that way at the beginning.
Yeah. Maybe Trey Lance looks different in New England though too.
Justin Fields will have a bright future. To say otherwise, I think once again, either you don't know what's going on or you want to troll.
Yeah. Well, it depends. It depends on the offense. It depends on the offense that they put together around him. You know what I mean?
They're gonna have to. But either way, at the quarterback position for the next 10 to 15 years, if everyone stays healthy, is very bright.
It's a good generation. It's a good generation of quarterbacks
for sure. And it's the NFL is in a good spot for sure.
Except for the racism.
Right. Yeah. I'll say yeah. Exactly. On the field. On the field. On the field. Yeah. Great point there. All right, so yeah, let's get into the conference championship game. So obviously, Cincinnati played, had beat Kansas City, and then the Rams had beat San Francisco. So, we talked a little bit about Joe already a few moments ago, but what did you learn about him, and what did you learn about that Bengals team as a whole on Sunday?
I think like I said, I think there was some context to their win. I didn't think that the Bengals, the way that they won, I'm not taking anything from them. I really like Joe Burrow. I've become a very quick fan, like a lot of people, I think, around the NFL watching world, since he's sort of stepped up this season. And I feel for the guy too, because I think we all fell for him, and we talked about it a good amount on the show last season. That's a tough injury, and he was having a good year. I think he's super fun. I think he's got a good head on his shoulders. I like the way he carries himself. I think he's a really good quarterback. Do I think that the Bengals are better than the Chiefs? No, I don't. But they're in the Super Bowl, so it doesn't really fucking matter. Do I think that they're gonna beat? Do I think that they're gonna beat the Rams? I do. I do think that they're gonna beat the Rams. Because I
like it.
I think it's just been like this quarterback war this season.
Mm-hmm.
And like a lot of crazy shit has gone down in the postseason, and especially in these conference championship games that we're talking about now. And the round before it too was also fucking bananas. But I just feel like in its purest form, a lot of these games have come down to who has the better quarterback in like a very pure sense this season. And I think there's been a lot of cool quarterbacks to like kind of follow. And to me, like Stafford has just been a bad guy since the start. Cause I'm just so mad he's going to the Super Bowl because he's just not that good. He's just not that fucking good. Like he's not that guy. And if he wins the Super Bowl, it's going to be Eli level. It's going to be an Eli level ring, which it was asterisk.
He put a better numbers than Eli though.
Sure. But I think that let's be honest here. And I'm not trying to sound bitter because I know I hate Stafford, but he's here because of the most boneheaded defensive call of the entire playoffs. And maybe, I can't think of all of them, but the most boneheaded defensive call of the last like maybe 10 playoffs. Cooper Kupp has the season he has where like, I can't think of a wide receiver who I would have rather had this season, like if, fantasy wise, just putting up numbers. I don't know who you'd rather have than Cooper Kupp this season, just on the math, right? So why are you letting him go single coverage over the top with the fucking game on the line after your quarterback, who's also happens to be, like we just talked about, the greatest of all time, just like dug you out of a fucking hole in one of the best playoff comebacks of all time. And then you just let Matt Stafford of all people, like throw over your fucking head. Like, aren't you embarrassed? Like, and it wasn't even their only bad call of that game on the defensive side of the ball. It's like, dude, please just put you guys on Cooper Kupp. Like, please just put you fucking guys on Cooper Kupp at the end of the goddamn game. Like, what? Why are you trying to be fancy, bro? Like, I don't understand. Just put two fucking guys on him.
But doesn't it, and really in any Super Bowl run, so whether it's a New England run, whether it's, when Chicago went back in 06, like it's some luck has to be involved. Some stupid players on the other teams behalf has to be involved. So I don't hold that against. I mean, I get it. It serves your point, but it doesn't make it, to me. It doesn't take away from what they've been able to do. Yes, I know they got there with Jared Goff. I get that. But to me, it's not even close. I feel like, to me, the impact was much better. And obviously, as we saw what happened in.
Okay, he's better than Jared Goff. I'll admit that.
No, right. But I'm saying, but it's like when you make that swap, it was like, it really was Super Bowl or bust for them. Because they have everything else there.
It did seem like a good, very, very good fit when the trade happened. It seemed that like there was some pixie dust about it a little bit. I agree.
I mean, yeah, but when you have, your guy, Leonard Floyd, when you have, Aaron Donald, when you have Ramsey, obviously you had Cup, you had Robert Woods before he went down and got injured. And obviously with the addition of OBJ, who was nothing but a model citizen there in LA. Von Miller, you add on to the defense.
That was a great move too. That was risky and it paid off.
For sure. So I think that's where they realize, like, look, we have to go for broke right now. Like we have a window. This core has been to the Super Bowl. We're looking to get there again. We got to compete with Tampa Bay. We got to compete with the other powers in the NFC. So listen, they capitalized. I mean, listen, I've said it on the show. I'll say this. I wanted Stafford in New England. I think that he could play. I really do. The numbers were consistent throughout. Yes, you're going to make bad plays when you play in a franchise where if you don't play well, it's not even close. You play well, you got a chance. If you don't play well, it's over because nothing else around you is going to contribute to winning. And I think I said it on the show last week, but it was so funny. That play that you're talking about where Antoine Winfield got burned. It was so fitting that Sue was the guy that was running towards Matthew Stafford. I thought that was just so fitting. Like that, I said, oh, they might actually go to the Super Bowl. Because I'm just like, I didn't. And to me, I'm like, they were going to beat the Packers. They was going to beat the Packers.
Yeah, well, you knew the Packers were going to crash out because, like,
yeah, exactly. Yeah, so they was going to be. Yeah, so I was even concerned had they got there, but
yeah,
I said, wow, I said this is crazy, but I hear you. There definitely was some loser mentality moments for sure in Detroit. I'm not going to sit here and.
I just think Jared Goff would have made that throw. I mean, he probably wouldn't have made all the throws to get them there in the first place, but that throw, that last one.
But Gurley was still a major part of their offense when they went a few years ago. So I feel like it was a lot of check down Charlie to Gurley.
Sure, but I'm saying if he's in that situation and he sees Cooper Kupp I would make that fucking pass. I would make
I would hope so. I would hope so.
It was the easiest throw ever. It wasn't like the most special throw you've ever seen, though. You know what I mean? It wasn't like Stafford. It was like Matt Stafford magic. I know, but it was like he just dropped it into him. Like it was, they're playing fucking catch in the fucking backyard. The coverage was non-existent. Make him work for it.
Right. No, let's continue with that. Right. So remember a couple years ago in the Super Bowl, Jimmy G has a similar throw. If he hits Emmanuel Sanders in his chest, it's ball game. And Jimmy G there was nothing around him but palm trees and you know, if you want to get a chance to get lemonade, he could have got a sandwich, all that.
I remember.
Jimmy G throws it, overthrows Emmanuel Sanders. It basically,
that's all she wrote. That's the ball game.
All she wrote. So you still got to make the throw. Yes, what the difficulty or degree of difficulty matters. And it wasn't easy to throw, but you still got to make it. And the fact that like you made it, and like I said, Sue was running at him. It wasn't like he was just.
You know what it reminded me of? Honestly, it's like it reminded me of the kind of heartbreak that like an EA Sports made game can bring into your life, like a FIFA or a Madden, where like you like it's just that those games like they just don't reward you for the kind of hard work that Tom Brady put in on the drives to get his team into winning position and the plays that he made, and he like made those like 10 plays. And how many times have you been playing a Madden game where you work your ass off to like get up by 3, but it's Madden. So there's like 36 seconds left on the clock and some motherfucker's just going to make like a very easy pass over your head because like your guys don't do what you tell them to do. And then it's just blown and you just want to kill yourself.
It happened to me, man. Happened to me.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is when Philadelphia was good back in the day, on Madden. So just like the McNabbs, Pinkston.
See, it's so painful you remember.
Yeah.
Like a McNabb level Madden defeat.
This is the Westbrook Deuce Staley days. You know, these guys were a problem on Madden. And you know, so I'm throwing it all over, baby. I'm getting yards here, yards there. And then you know, playing against the Rams and he had Russell Falk back there returning kicks, and he ran it back off me with 5 seconds left. I almost threw that TV out there. It was a TV that had crazy TV. I almost threw that shit out the window. I was so mad. Oh
my God, that's so upsetting. That's so upsetting. I'm upset for you.
Yeah. Oh God, listen. It was. Yeah.
Nobody knows the pain unless you've been there, dude.
Yeah.
So me, you, and Tom Brady, basically. Me, you, and Tom Brady are all in the same boat. We're basically the same guy.
Yeah, exactly. But let's. I want to go back to San Francisco, right? So obviously, you know, they were the losers. You know, Jimmy G didn't play well. Debo is
mid.
He's a problem. He's mid. Yeah. So I mean, you know, have we seen the end of Jimmy G in at San Francisco? And where do you think he goes?
I mean. I think it's fair to say he's not going to get it done there, right? I think that's kind of fair.
Yeah.
I'm glad Mac Jones had the season that he had because like the conversations about Jimmy G coming back to New England were just getting so incessant. It's like, yeah, I mean, maybe Bill Belichick can get that kind of stuff out of his game, maybe, but like at this point, you got your guy, so I don't think we should entertain that possibility anymore. I don't think you draft obviously the way that you draft if you're San Francisco, if you're like planning to keep Jimmy G for much longer. And you know, if you believe in your drafting, I think you get your guy in there and you use the salary that because you paid him a rookie QB salary, you use the salary that you freed up with a Jimmy Garoppolo, and you try and get him some skill guys and you try and build a team. I think they're young enough. I think they have enough like good offensive players to like start that process. And I just don't think San Francisco are going to get it done. I mean, do you disagree? Do you think as they're currently constituted, they're going to come back stronger next year with him at quarterback? I don't think so.
I mean, this was kind of an improbable run for them. Like they got hot.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. That's the other thing. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think they were what going into. Actually, matter of fact, it's ironic. I think going into the Cincinnati game is when you know their season turned around. So, which is week 14. So. You know, they're 6-7. They end up winning out there, and actually they won out. They won out to go 10-7, and so that's okay. You know, this might be a team that you know no one wants to face, and that's what happened because they beat 2 teams that I think they should have lost to.
They were that coming into the playoffs. That's fair enough. You know, I think we all said that. Yeah.
You know, Elijah Mitchell was great. You know, Deebo Samuel is.
I felt so bad for him. I felt so bad for him. He tried his ass off, dude.
Yeah, he was awesome. I think it. Speaking about pain, like it's pain watching him dominate out there, and this bum N'Keal Harry still has a job in the NFL.
I know, it's bad.
There's no bigger pain that I feel like I will scream, or not even scream, I will cry tears of joy when I hear dun-dun-dun, dun-dun-dun. And only the Patriots have released N'Keal Harry after 2 seasons in New England. And I'll say emergency pod, Craig. Emergency pod, because he got released. Thank God he got released, you know? But yeah, Debo was awesome. But yeah, I think, you know, like I said, they have to continue to build through the draft, because I'm not sure, even though it's California, people are not flocking to San Francisco.
I think there's a way. I think there was a sort of it was very helpful for their franchise to make it as far as they did. I think there was a certain sense in the news media and in kind of fan interactions of like, oh yeah, we like having the San Francisco 49ers be good. You know, I think there's just sort of a consensus if you're not a direct rival with them. I think I don't know. Their uniforms are cool, and they had Joe Montana and Jerry Rice, and they're involved in a lot of cool highlights when you're watching like old football footage. It's a cool city, and it's in the state I live in, so it's all, you know, I know a few people that are happy when they're good. I mean, obviously I want the Bears to be better, but it's you know, it didn't, you know, and then there was when they were good in our era as well, you know, when they had the Warren Sapps of the world. And like they were still kind of knocking around, and they've been gone for the last few years trying to build something. And I think they have a good young team, and I think if they just like commit to that youth, I think and like you said, build through the draft, I think the future is bright for them, and I think it was good PR for the franchise as a whole.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, that the NFC West is scary, so it's like Trey Lance better develop, because if not,
but sometimes that's where the best QBs are made. You know what I mean? When there's teams.
Oh, sure, but I mean, Kyler Murray's ready. Like I said, obviously, you know, I mean, Stafford's obviously the elder. Well, no, I know Russell Wilson's older than I don't
think he's going to be there next season.
No, I don't think so either.
I got a weird feeling about that. I think he's going to go. I feel like he's going to go to like Miami or something.
Yeah, maybe he goes there. Maybe maybe you guys give him a call. Who knows?
I don't know. You got to play Justin Fields. You got to try to make something of him, right?
If you can get Russ, you know, it's not like it's not like he's 41. He's only 33. So
does it make Justin Fields better? Does it make him better?
It should.
Yeah,
it should. You know, I don't think. Once again, I mean, granted, I know Aaron Rodgers is not the best example, but the fact that he got a chance to sit behind very far for 3 years, that absolutely helped his career. And the fans, if he was to say otherwise, I'm like, you're lying.
Of course.
Yeah, so it helps. So, you know, I think a year or two under Russ would be cool, but I at the same time, if they want to stop that clock now and getting, you know, Fields out there, or any other young quarterback that's in the NFL out there, I totally, you know, understand. But yeah, I think Miami probably would be that place. I think, you know, those days in Seattle are over.
Yeah, so. Seems like it.
Right, but yeah, any last words on the title games before we get into that Celtics talk?
Who you got? Who do you have? Who do you have for the Super Bowl? Who you think the?
I'm going with the Rams. Like I said, I think the Bengals are the better story.
It sounds like it. Sounds like it. I love that. Yeah, I can't wait to chat with you on Super Bowl.
Oh yeah, for sure. It's gonna be great.
Where we are. I'm glad we had this conversation.
There, right. Yeah, exactly. You know, I mean, yeah, not to be able to record it's gonna be out everywhere, right? But yeah.
All over the TikTok that Craig is cultivating.
Oh my gosh,
a worldwide phenomenon.
Crushing it. Yeah, we're becoming a phenomenon overnight. You just love to see it.
Like overnight, it's taken forever. They're fucking been talking to each other into microphones for like the better part of 2 decades.
It'd be our TikTok will grow a lot faster if we had a girl on the show that could just shake it a little bit. But unfortunately, you know, we are.
That's why we've been telling you to sex it up a little bit, Craig. It wouldn't kill you to put some lipstick on. Jesus Christ. Never take me anywhere nice anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, you don't love me like you used to.
Oh my God. Remember when we first got together, the sparks were flying?
Right, yeah, you feel me? Yeah. All right, so well, that being said, let's get into some Celtics talk, man. So you know, we kind of started we prematurely brought it up because we were so excited that they have actually played.
I know.
But yeah, so now, you know, obviously we are now at the beginning of February, but you last month they closed on a great note. They went 10-6. And now they're currently 3 games over 500 for the first time all season. So, what has started to go right in your opinion, for the Celtics team?
I don't want to say I thought that they were kind of thereabouts of like how to win, but like obviously it was a mentality issue. Like obviously the first thing that needed to be addressed from the middle of last season, maybe even a little bit before that, till now was leadership, mentality, decision making, all the stuff that exists sort of in the mind of a basketball team, the hive mind of a basketball team, I thought was just wrong. And it seems like to me, basically all we know is what we're kind of hearing from the locker room, but I think we've been sort of oversaturated with Celtics locker room messages over the last 2 years where it's like, no, we got together, it's going to be fine. There's been a lot of that. So like, it's more of like I'll believe it when I see it type thing. But I did like that last week, I think it was last week, that it was Al Horford was the one to come out and be like, Jaylen Brown's really emerging as a leader in the locker room. And he's like really like taking control of the inspiration of the team and like trying to get the guys locked in. I'm paraphrasing, of course, but I like that it was Al because Al's like not going to just tell tales out of school. If he's saying that, he's saying it for a reason. Right. So I think mentality wise, they've got it a little bit locked in. I think we're starting to realize like what personnel can produce on the floor as the team is currently constituted and which ones can't. Case in point, I was a fan of Schroeder when he came in. I know Celtics Twitter immediately turned on him. And it looks like he's on his way out the door. So it didn't work out. I agree that it didn't work out. I think he'll be a successful role player somewhere else. I don't know if this is the team for him. I still think, it's nice that things are starting to go right, but let me throw the question back to you. Do you think are you happy with the personnel still? I feel like there's some wholesale changes that needs to still be made.
So maybe not wholesale. I think, I felt like wholesale changes early on. I felt that way. I think now maybe it's more of a minor tweak.
I wanted to trade everybody multiple times this season. I wanted to trade every single member of them. So
I feel you. But to answer the question I asked you about, what is going right? I just think it's maybe the reemergence of Tatum Brown. Because usually it's either or. Right now, they're both saying we're the two best players on the floor. You cannot guard us. And it's about time. It's almost like they had to realize it because it's like sometimes you could feel it.
They weren't playing together. They weren't spreading the floor the way that they can spread the floor. Because they're both long and they're both quick. And like Jaylen Brown makes really crafty runs, like, behind the basket and like through lanes. And Tatum is like so dangerous everywhere he goes. So they can complement each other, if they try, if they learn to play like that.
Now we're seeing that though. I think now
Jaylen's inability to stay on the floor is an issue when it comes to that though.
Health is always going to be a factor. But to me, the number with them is the 5 is 5, right? And what I mean by that is the 5 assists or more. I think it was last Sunday against Charlotte. As we recorded on a Thursday, I think Tatum had 9 assists, Brown had 6.
I'm looking for 8 assists from Jason Tatum. That's my number. That's my magic number for
that's
him.
On the higher end. I don't see that happening all the time.
That's the goal. That's the playmaking goal I want Jason Tatum to get to. I'm not asking for Rajon Rondo like double-digit assist numbers every single night. I'm asking for like on the higher end, and if your scoring is in the 23 to 26 range, that's fine.
Yeah,
that's okay. Like that's the complete package of Jason Tatum to me. And like, can he go for 30 or 40 or 50 or 60? Sure. But like, just go out there and like be the problem that I know you can be. And I think that he's still trying to find his identity in that regard a little bit more, but I think he's going the right way. I mean, we've been talking about him improving his playmaking for the last 3 seasons.
Yeah. But I think now it's starting to finally click, right?
I agree.
Getting those assists. Has been great, and that to me has been the biggest transition for me with him. Same thing with Jaylen Brown, right? I think they both have to work on the handle still because there's too many times when they get through the lane, and I do think defenders are a little bit more aggressive with them, and they're not getting the calls they should get. So,
I mean, I think it's their finishing in general, and I still think that we're a little skewed away from how often I'd like both of them to be going to the basket. Yeah. And I know I've been banging this fucking drum and it's getting annoying probably at this point, but a presence, like even Robert Williams in the way that he is sort of
been amazing.
been playing this sort of stretch big role very athletically, the thing that we wanted to see from him, basically. He seems like he's in 10 places at once defensively. I have been enjoying it, but I need someone, because I see it happen in flashes when Horford's on the floor. I need somebody to sort of clear the lane for those guys a little bit more. I find that we've so lacked underneath the basket a presence. I mean, listen, this isn't the A&E biography channel, but I grew up on the kind of basketball where I was just watching Shaquille O'Neal just shove his ass into other players and they would go flying. And that didn't just open up things for Shaquille O'Neal. You know what I mean? That opened up things for the Dwayne Wades and the Kobe Bryants of the world to make plays in the areas where those guys no longer were. You can have a battering ram down there still. I think it still works. I just think that maybe the body shape of the guy who's doing it looks a little bit different in today's NBA, and like his skill set is a little bit different. But I maintain that if Shaq had ever gone to the gym, he might have like shot over like a 53% free throw shooting. So, right. Whatever. But I don't think he needed to in that iteration of the game. But I think it's very possible now. And I want that guy still, because I think he's going to make those two guys better.
So in other words, we need Giannis.
I mean, that would be an ideal. I'm not saying we get prime Shaq or Giannis, but there's guys out there, that I think, like the Miles Turners of the world. I think that was just a very upsetting. Not getting him is like still sort of upsets me, because I just think, like the Jared Allens of the world. I don't need huge numbers from these guys. I just need like a little bit of playmaking presence down low so that we can play a little bit of in and out ball. And I think that to me is where they look the best, where they go in and out and they make plays. And I know we harped on this early Brad Stevens sort of basketball, but like I have seen those guys succeed in that kind of system. And now that they've developed into the kind of players that they're kind of the most mature version of themselves at this point. Not like athletic prime or anything, but like we can see what their games look like and they're skewing in the right direction. I want to see them take it upon themselves to be the playmakers that I know that they can be, and not necessarily have to rely on a system or running plays or making passes. And I think they sort of outgrew Brad in that way, where they were like, well, we want to be able to sort of like be the guys that can go and figure it out on the floor. And I do think this coaching staff is sort of letting them do that a little bit more. And I think it might take a little patience, but it doesn't take much for me to be optimistic about the Celtics. Like I like when they play well. I still watch when they don't. And it's some of those losses were just like very upsetting to watch, but there's always moments. I'm pretty much done with Marcus Smart though. I hate to say it.
He's actually played a lot. He's actually played a lot better, honestly, lately.
His bad cop is so frustrating to me that like.
Yeah, but I mean, I think what he's finally realized, like, look, okay, if I'm not taking the shots and I'm getting anything between 5 to 10 assists, which he's been doing lately, like that's the formula for them to be all successful, because he's the guy that's going to get them into the offense. It looks like his defense is back, so maybe it was a health thing too. Like, that's the biggest thing with him. So, and every now and then he's going to do like what he did last night. I think he had 18 last night. Like every now and then he's going to have those moments where he gets 18 to 20 points. You're like, okay, cool. But I could
always see him as the kind of guy where like in a play, like I like Marcus Smart in the Foxhole in a playoff series. You know what I mean? I like the idea of Marcus Smart in a Foxhole in a playoff series and the kind of guy that he is. It's just that when I haven't loved how he's been when things go wrong. I don't know if he's the guy to like really unite the team when things are going wrong. I think he's a good kind of engine guy when things are going right. But like if he ever thinks he needs to pull you out of a situation, like you're in for a long night, and it's just like that's the kind of stuff that's like been a little bit tough for me and frustrating. But I do agree that his defenses look better lately, and like that's what I want from him. That's all I really want from him is for him to play D,
defense, and then the appropriate playmaking. But I will say I think the turning point for him, and I want to get into some trade deadline stuff before we get out of here, but I think it was a game in Orlando this season when Tatum came to the podium and they had asked him what Marcus Smart said. He was like, "Look, like I know how to fucking play basketball." Like I think that was the moment there. Was like, "Look, you are a teammate, you are a leader, you are an awesome person, awesome player, but to say what you said about us publicly, like that's not going to work. We handle shit internally. You do your part, I do my part to help us contribute, to contribute to wins, and then we go from there." So I think from that moment on, like I said, he's been, because I think they went to Miami like the next time and they smacked Miami down there. So they, I think that was a turning point for him, man. For some reason, Marcus seems to listen to Ime Udoka more than he listened to Brad lately. So in the last few seasons. So
yeah, I was gonna say, do you think it's the coaching staff like just getting him to make better decisions? Do you think that's what it is? Because if that's what it is, I could see it as being a more permanent thing.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they gave him that contract, so I feel like he will be here.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, I mean, sure, he'll be here, but I mean, like, I can see his playing like this as a more permanent thing, as opposed to.
And if that's the case, we're in business because that's really good for this.
But if it's just him, and what he feels like, trick or treat, what he feels like at this given moment, then I don't know how sustainable it is. But if it is the coaching staff, and you think it's the coaching staff, then great. If he's listening to the coaches and he's playing the way they want to play, because he was not fucking listening to Brad Stevens at the end. He was the guy who was listening to Brad the least, and none of them were listening to Brad, but he was really not listening to Brad, like extra.
Right, exactly. But so obviously, we're in February, so that's trade season in the NBA. So I think it's gonna happen probably right before, or might be after the All-Star break. So this will be the last thing we touch on before we close out. But
early February usually, and whatever.
Yeah, whatever. Either way, it's approaching, right? So what who are some targets you have in mind that you think can give an immediate impact?
I don't know. I don't know who I want to make an immediate impact right now. I'm not really sure we need to be really making a trade at this point when we get all that money from Al's expiring stuff in his contract in the summer. I feel like let him play this out the way that they're kind of currently constituted. Like, I wouldn't mind a couple of smaller moves. And like, you heard the same thing about Schroeder, right? Like, he's definitely going or gone already.
I mean, I know they're looking to get something, back after, they're trying to get something back from. The name that's been thrown around a lot has been Troy Brown Jr. from Chicago.
Yeah, that'd be fine. I mean, that's nothing to like write home about,
That's not enough though. Like, that's not enough. Now they talked about Norman Powell from Portland also in the deal. I said, now you're telling me you're gonna get Norman Powell and the Troy Brown, and like you can get that, you get both of those guys to come here. Like that, now we can do something. Now that's the guy that gets 18 off the bench.
You feel like we have to throw something else in though? Do you think we'd have to throw something else in?
I mean, if you want to take Neesmith and Langford, cool, take them. Like, see you later. Like
we're obviously shopping now.
Right? Yeah, of course. They have to be involved in any deal that they do probably. Like I said, I think Romeo will flourish somewhere else. I really do. I just think that it just wasn't working or hasn't worked here.
You know what team he'd be great on? He'd play really well on like the Hornets.
Yeah. Actually, yeah, he would. I mean, that's become Celtics South all of a sudden, obviously, with all those guys that we had down there. Yeah, I think he'd be great down there.
And the contributions they ask for from the guard position is just like exactly what Romeo can do, like off the bench for you. And I just think he'd be playing with the right guys.
Totally agree.
Yeah, and I just think it's like he's not like the problem with this fucking city, specifically in basketball. It's like if you're not a good fit, you're not a good fit. There's like nothing. It just is what it is. You know what I mean? I agree. I think he's still got a lot of potential. I've been done with them here in Boston for quite some time.
Yes. Well, I mean, like I said, I know for me, obviously Harrison Barnes has been, he's become the new Larry Fitzgerald. Remember Larry Fitzgerald was supposed to come to the Patriots for like a million years, and that never happened. Harrison Barnes is becoming that.
Mm-hmm.
I actually got a chance to meet him last week when the Kings came into town. Yeah. And I said, yo, shout out to USC. He was like, yes, sir. I want to be like, hope to see you soon, but I couldn't say that in front of the coaching staff. But
get a trade.
I was like, hey, continue to have a healthy season, man.
How do you like the stadium?
And I would never try to recruit. I'm like, yeah. He's like, yo, what you do around here? I'm like, yeah, you can do this, you can do that. I'm like, you can request a trade. Just little stuff like that, Harrison. Listen, whatever you want to do, man. You can. Yeah. You can achieve it right here. We got the best clam chowder. Whatever you want, Harrison.
We got the best clam chowder.
Oh, pretty good. No, yeah.
You'll make do.
Focus on basketball 24/7.
No distractions. No distractions.
Exactly. So
it's calm in the wintertime, and sometimes when they have some coat layers on, you can kind of convince yourself, but like it is what it is.
Yeah.
Got a lot of character. They've all got a lot of character. They'll tell you what's on their mind.
Yeah, exactly. A lot of character development, right? Harrison Barnes, like I said, Norman Powell. Obviously, even someone like a Rashawn Holmes is also in Sacramento. I think he's someone that could be a really good fit here.
Yeah, that'd be cool. I like him.
Honestly, this is kind of an out of the box name, but this is not a name that's been out there. I just think that he's kind of calmed down, so he would be able to help us. Actually, it's actually JaVale McGee. I think JaVale McGee would be awesome here.
I would love that. I would love that for obvious reasons.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying. Listen, he's come a long way from the Shaq Fu days. Like he defends really well. So, I would love to have someone like him here in the city to back up Rob.
100%.
Yeah, but you need that type of guy. But yeah, who knows? Maybe they go get a stretch forward. Maybe they talk to Houston about getting
like that too.
Christian Wood and Eric Gordon maybe are the.
I don't like Eric Gordon.
Well, I mean, Eric Gordon's older, but it's like, someone that can get you 15 to 20 when, someone's struggling offensively.
That's more of the same. That's more of the same stuff, kind of trash we've been bringing off the bench for the last few years. Don't you think?
Yeah, I mean, that could be true. But I mean, if you're attaching Christian Wood to that, who, when you talked, you made your point about Horford saying that, we've seen it a few times with Horford, like we would see a lot more of Christian Wood on the floor because he's someone that can shoot the three. He's going to rebound really well.
What's his contract look like? Do you know?
3 years, $42 million. So basically, it'd be the same numbers out next year. So you could do it. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So if you want to do Al Horford, Nesmith, Langford for those two, like I'd do it. I'd be right there at Logan with a sign saying,
"You got to save money on that." Don't you have to save money on that Horford contract? You have to, right? You that's the whole point.
Yeah,
that's why we got it.
Move on eventually.
Yeah.
I mean, I know we want the sister on the show. That doesn't change, but
it's just business, man. It's just business. We got pissing all the fucking women in Boston off right now. Oh my god! Save me, Craigulus.
Business is business.
Save me. Definitely cut that part out, though. I didn't even mean it. I was just being an LA snob.
So it's all good. So we'll close on that before we get into any more trouble. So for DK Sizzle, I'm Hollywood Ray. This has been another episode of Mission Point, and we'll see you next time. Peace.
Welcome, explorers of the human experience. This is Let's Talk Soul, and I'm your host, Claudia Monticelli. We're not afraid of the great mysteries of existence here. Soul versus consciousness, we're on it. Spirituality versus science, we've got that covered too. Join us in navigating these profound topics with wisdom, curiosity, and a dash of audacity. Whether you're a spiritual veteran or just starting your journey, Let's Talk Soul is your passport to the unknown. Let's Talk Soul, diving into the depths of the human spirit. Subscribe now wherever you get your podcasts.
Hey, it's Tim from 50 Years of Music with 50-Year-Old White Guys, the comedy podcast you had no idea you needed. Join Ben, Jeff, and me as we continue our musical road trip back through the years and around the globe. See, just when you thought all white guys were like Joe Rogan, you come across three educators trying to remember when we were cool.
50 Years of Music with 50-Year-Old White Guys.
Electricast.